Week 1, 2023 NFL is finally upon us. Ron, let's dive right into it without any nonsense, advertising, promotion, or excuses. Um, we normally do this show live. We are just going to run this through ourselves. And first of all, how's it going, Ron? What's up with you?
It's extremely busy on the football front, putting together the final touches on all 32 team previews, make sure I have my win grid exactly where I want it. And everything else, like you, it's just incredibly busy right now. It's always a balancing act and just trying to compartmentalize, get through each and every day and not take anything too seriously.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how we go from being ahead of the game, or speaking for myself, how go from being ahead of the game, at one point, completely caught up to now we're here and I feel like I'm way behind and I'm playing catch up and it's just an unusual feeling for maybe I don't know. You would think it would just be a piece of cake and you'd just be easing right into it. And I've got so much stuff going on. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. So that's where my head is I just feel a little bit behind. But I feel really comfortable. Don't get me wrong. I feel because I don't feel the need to try to find stuff to bet. Got a full season ahead of us. But I have a feeling I'm going to end up with a lot of bets. But if I miss bets, I don't care. I have no reason or inclination to want to create any additional bets that I don't see, can't find real value in. And so that's where I am. I'm not done. I'm not close to being done. If I don't get everything I could have gotten done in, who cares? I've got enough good direction where that makes me feel comfortable. How about you?
This is always the hardest week for me because I'm digesting 80 something college games and going from week 1 to week 2 while putting the finishing touches on week 1 NFL. The good news is all the week 1 bets have been in, most of them, I should say, a long time ago. Same for college and so on. But week 2 college is always a very small slate for me. I just isolate 10 or 12 games. I want to look at what the openers are and adjust from there. And after that, I intentionally have to close the books on the NFL futures and get all my writing done. I think after the Monday night game, after the Jets play the Bills on Monday, then I'll get back into a regular routine. But every minute is precious right now. But that's the same every year. It's just down to the wire. You're absorbing last minute information after getting no NFL information for 2 or 3 months. It all comes at once right now.
And then we've got a few surprises. Kelsey looks like he's not going to play. Starting off with this Thursday game, I fully intended to leave it alone. Do you have any interest in this game? Any comments? What are your comments on this game?
The only comments I have on this game is I really would have a strong lean to the over. Now, the Kelsey thing does change things a little. Obviously, the over-under is going to drop a little. It's already dropped, I think, a point and a half. If he doesn't go or if he's limited, we know he gets 10 targets a game, especially with Mahomes having a little bit of a new set of wide receivers, or at least he had Smith-Schuster for a year. He's gone. He had Tony for 3 or 4 weeks. Now he might be back. He's got a couple second-year players. So he really wants to rely on that tight end, and that tight end is maybe not as available as he would have been.
Well, I as a Lions fan, I can't miss Kelsey. I love that guy. I think we've talked about him in the past. He just seems indestructible. Who wouldn't want him on your team? And if you're against him, he's killing you and beating you up. And if any consistent weakness the Lions have had on defense, it's been with covering a tight end just like him. I mean, Kelsey can chew up Lions defense, Most defenses, frankly.
Most defenses. Good attitude for the game, too. Him and George Kittle of San Francisco, really, really fun to watch play and fun to interview as well. They have a very good attitude.
So you're just kind of looking toward the over, but could care less, or?
Yeah, too much variance in this game for me because I don't trust either defense. You're talking about a Kansas City defense, Frank Clark, and the other guy. I mean, they lose two key cogs in the front seven, guys who can rush the passer. So Goff's going to have a clean pocket the whole time, and I think that just makes it for scoring and variance there. I really don't expect Kansas City to have a strong defensive effort week one.
Yeah, but Kansas City doesn't really give up. Is not really a give up big play defense. Wouldn't you kind of see that Detroit could chew up a lot of clock in this kind of situation?
Well, because of Goff's accuracy, they'll probably do that. They'll nickel and dime as much as they can. They don't have a great wide receiver core. We touched upon that last week. I've touched upon it all off season. And Jamison Williams, of course, will miss this game. And even he didn't have a lot of starts under his belt. I expect Goff to hit pretty much 65+% in this game. So if you go 26 out of 40, which is 65%, you could chew up a lot of yards and a lot of first downs.
I played around a little bit with some. I honestly believe Detroit's live in this game if Jones and Kelsey sit out. I know it's I drank too much Lion Kool-Aid, but and I know that when Kelsey's been out in the past, the Chiefs have played well. So, but it just seems like they have a chance. They should.
Well, we've seen this play out over at least 2 years, I think 2.5 years, where the Chiefs find a way to win, but they do not cover. In that big winning streak a couple of years ago, they were something like 7-0 and then 1-7 or 1-6-1 against the spread because they get inflated. Now, I don't think they're inflated here. My power ratings are pretty spot on this. But Detroit's the type of team that even if they're behind by double digits, they could backdoor it.
Carolina, Atlanta. Now, I'm going to say, just knowing you all these years, you must have some sort of a you could only look one way in this game, and it's a divisional matchup. It lines over 3. You're going to be wearing a Carolina jersey.
I'm wearing no jersey in this game.
No jersey?
No jersey in this game, but I would lean Carolina at the line over 3. That is true because I don't trust – I never trust Atlanta's pass rush, even though they're going to be facing a very, very soft set of quarterbacks this year. When you consider that, their own division and then playing Houston and Indianapolis and those guys. So I think Atlanta has a chance to do some damage here, but Carolina comes in with a better defensive team. Both quarterbacks are raw. I would lean Carolina, but I don't have enough conviction in them to actually pull the trigger. They have no wide receivers either.
Now, I understand that they have been Carolina's looked abysmal in preseason for all parts that Reich is doing the play calling, and that, however, it changes in the games they played where he wasn't play calling. All of a sudden, they started to be able to do stuff. Have you kept up on any of that?
Yeah, I'm reading my notes now. Bryce Young was decent in his work. He was sacked 3 times with 24 throws. So he's a young quarterback. That's going to happen. Chark, their wide receiver, at least he's healthy right now. Adam Thielen actually is playing well. I think I saw enough out of Carolina in the preseason to say there's a chance that they could win this game outright. Again, my lean would be Carolina, but I don't have action in this game. Do you have action in this game?
Well, why doesn't that fit into your divisional over a field goal type thing? Just because of the low quality teams or the division itself?
I think it's because, and you've heard me preach it, you need a strong offensive line and you need a good target at tight end if you're a rookie quarterback. And Carolina pretty much lacks both of them, in my opinion. So I'd be going against the grain, even though I like Carolina's defense. New staff, we have to see how that plays out. They traded their number one wide receiver in order to get to the top pick and take Bryce Young. And Bryce Young seems to be a pretty smart guy who might read defenses faster than other rookies read defenses. But he could be sacked in this game too. They just don't have the pieces around him right now that make it a play for me.
Very good. Very good. I don't have an interest in the game at this point. So I was just curious. I don't know. I think this Baltimore-Houston game is a quick gloss over. I don't know what you have to add. I'll start it off with I love Baltimore on the money line. There's no way in hell I would be laying, even if the line was 9 and it's currently 10, would I lay 9? There's a very good history with this situation and the dog covering week 1, dogs of 8 or more. It's I believe it's like 85% or 80% range. It's very strong, so I'm not getting in the middle of that one. Thoughts?
Yeah, not much to say about this one. It's funny because here's another rookie quarterback. Last week we talked about 4 rookie quarterbacks coming in. This is probably not the best team to start your rookie quarterback against, with a Baltimore team that's experienced, aggressive, not afraid to go after the quarterback. This could get ugly. We saw Baltimore had a world record 9 double-digit leads the first 9 games of the year into the second half, most of them into the fourth quarter, and was only 6-3 when all was said and done. So, that means 10 points is too much, but I'm not touching Houston.
This game's kind of befuddling me, Ron, because there's nothing to indicate Burrow is not going to play. This line's sitting at 2.5. I believe that there's going to be interest in Cleveland betting, but the market seems to be, waiting for this Burrow push back up to 3, and it's already come off the 3. And it just seems like the only reason it's ever going to hit 3 is so that the people on Cleveland can get their 3. They're going to bet the 2.5 or 3 anyway. It's just an odd way it's sitting. What do you think on this one?
Well, for me, this is one of those high variance games, and I'm not just talking one team, but 2 teams. You've got Cincinnati with succession planning in the secondary, so we've got new faces in the secondary. They have a new left tackle. They're going back to Joe Mixon again. How much does he have in the tank? And then they got a quarterback who, for the second straight year, did not throw a pass in the preseason. And we saw Joe Burrow start slow and Cincinnati start slow last year. And then you have Cleveland, who ended the year as they were a mess of a team. Watson's pocket presence wasn't as good as it used to be. He got sacked a whole bunch of times. He's had an off season to clean that up, but I don't know how much it does get cleaned up. I think Cleveland's better. I think Cleveland can absolutely win more games than they lose. I don't know if they hit the ground running. There's just variance on both sides of the ledger for me.
I'm very surprised that we heard nothing but negative stuff on Watson on the field from preseason. He hasn't shown any parts of the way he used to play. And as you mentioned, he had all summer to get his act together. I can forgive the end of the season last year. That was a washout anyway. Just get him some playing time. But with a full summer of preparation and still looking like a fish out of water. Now you got the panic button might hit real fast here.
They didn't use him much. He was 8 out of 13 for 104 yards. There's a lot of confidence in their wide receiver unit, and I'm modestly confident about that as well. The biggest issue was kicking. They couldn't kick a field goal or an extra point to save their life, but then they got rid of the guy and they traded for Hopkins. So they have an experienced guy there. So they recognized the problem and they solved it, or they hope they have solved it. So I think Cleveland did okay in the preseason, but when the games start, I need to know what Watson are we getting?
Yeah, I agree. I might end up involved in this game. I can only look the Browns' way. Jacksonville, Indianapolis. I think typically you would be on that home dog in the division. Are you?
I really want to, but again, you got a rookie quarterback, you got questionable tight ends. We don't know if Darius Leonard, the linebacker that we talked about all season last year, he didn't play a snap in the preseason, but he's reportedly good to go. So I'll take that as a positive. Obviously, Indy has running back problems. Their top 2 running backs, one of them's out 4 games, and Moss has recovering from a broken arm. I think he may not play game 1. It's kind of weird that you want to have a one-dimensional attack with a quarterback who's not going to hit 50%. He may run for more yards than he passes. The big question I have, Chris, is Jacksonville had a big year last year. They could build upon that. They have another wide receiver in Ridley. But how much credit do we give them at the beginning of the year? Does a team like that automatically deserve to be a road favorite of 5 points right out of the gate just based on 1 year of activity? I don't know.
It's I was on Brokeback Jaguars all last year, so they were the one of 2 teams that increased their win total by 6. The other one with the Lions, and it's basically a very rare occurrence. And to be able to just achieve that same win total the following year, just to get back to that same total, you're looking at about a 1 in 5 chance. So very unlikely both Jacksonville and the Lions are able to both hit those numbers again. I kind of see some cracks in this Jags team. There's a lot to like about them, but that defense isn't good enough to really is always going to keep them a level down. Wouldn't you agree? They can't graduate.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the problem is they have the worst GM in the business as far as drafting. So they don't. What they do is they do a great job of free agency. They just do not do a great job of drafting, and I've documented that for so many years it hurts my head. Useless stat for you, Chris, because it's a new staff, and I don't like the stat either. Indy hasn't won their opening game since 2013. Mm-hmm. But what does that mean? It means nothing to me because it's a whole new excitement with Richardson. The fans want to get and support. I just finished up their preview with them, and if they can get some home equity right away, I think it'll really energize this fan base. So it's a pretty interesting game for Indy, their fans, and everything. Is the new, I don't know if the new staff's up to it right now, but Jacksonville better not just, fly on last year's success. They better understand the urgency as well, because I don't think they can I don't think they're the team that can just mail in a game.
No. And this rivalry, the word salads are starting week 1. Has always had unique and unexpected results. Always. Right.
Absolutely. So, I agree with you there.
There is no way I would have a Jacksonville ticket in my pocket. That's the only thing I'm going to say about this game. Tampa Bay, Minnesota, for me, a lot of unknown there. A lot of unknowns. I don't know how. I believe Tampa's a much better team than people realize, but why go for it? I mean, their ceiling is so low, and they've got such an excuse to just lay down from day one, and then they're facing a team that we know is due to regress a little bit. They've got a lot of. I'm not sure they're as good as they were last year, even actually though. Are you?
I think it's pretty flat.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the same as last year. I can't argue. I would argue against them. Somebody saying, "Hey, they're better," or "Hey, they're worse." It's really close. They're really the same team, and that team was an 8.5 win team last year that just happened to win 11 one-score games.
I mean, with a good coach, let's just say you had a great coach, top 5 coach. I think Tampa Bay has the talent to be a playoff team. Do you in the NFC?
I think they have the schedule to be a playoff team. I don't think they have the talent to.
That's what I actually meant. In their division, with their schedule, they would be competing for that divisional title, in my opinion.
Yeah. But what's your opinion of Baker Mayfield? I think he's doesn't push the field. I think he's a guy who's not a high accurate quarterback, but he makes some smart decisions, but he's not going to go deep on you. I think there's a low ceiling to him, but they're using him because the floor is much worse if they start Trask or any other quarterback.
Yeah. Well, he's there. They don't have any choice but to just let him go. Let him go. See what comes of it. It kind of strikes me as like a healthy Colt McCoy that can play a few more games. I mean, is there that much of a difference?
No, I mean, Colt McCoy, a pretty smart quarterback, just has a terrible body as far as the NFL, and that's why he's not there anymore. Yeah, Mayfield's operating behind an offensive line that's nowhere near what Tom Brady used to have. I mean, those guys are all gone. There's one guy left from that offensive line.
Right.
So Mayfield will escape pressure, but we've seen him with other offensive lines on many teams, and he doesn't do enough when he escapes the pocket. This isn't Oklahoma where you overwhelm the other team. This is the NFL, and Minnie's going to try to get after him. Now, Minnie's secondary is vanilla. It's not really that good. There are chances to do stuff. One thing that's interesting, though, Tampa Bay's running back, Rashard White, is underrated. He has a chance to be a factor in this game. I see Tampa this year and maybe in this game as a kind of a pest team, a team that doesn't really end up winning. That's why the under the win total looks attractive, but ends up covering a lot because they're not going to be out of a game.
Yeah, but that's kind of like where I was, kind of getting involved, at the beginning of this is there's enough team there to not just assume that they go through the floorboards immediately. I mean, I don't want anything to do with this game, though. I'll tell you that. I'm sure you don't.
I don't. If it hits 7, boy, I'd have to really look at it again. I don't want it to hit 7, so I don't have to look at it. Yeah. But it's a thing. I think Tampa's going to have a lot of chances to win in fourth quarters this year. I just don't know how many times they're really going to win.
Tennessee Saints actually is becoming more interesting. It was actually one of the puke games initially when I looked at the schedule, and it actually is becoming a little intriguing.
Now, I don't know how much you want to talk about this. This is one of Sports USA's game.
Oh, okay.
I do have feelings about this game, but I don't know if we want.
Well, let's discuss it on Friday then, because the line's kind of sitting. I'm kind of surprised that it fell back down to a flat 3. So let's see where that line's sitting on Friday. And just so anybody is joining, we're going to have the Friday show back with Ted Sobel from Sports USA Live. And we will talk about 1 or 2 games only and maybe just a couple of brief segments. So it'll be a much shorter show. And we're going to try to focus on the teams that we have player interviews for, and where Ron or I have been able to submit questions that we have an interest in from our betting perspectives, possibly, or just a better understanding. And we're going to try to tighten that one up and looking forward to that. So that's one game we're talking about on Friday. That'll be Friday. We don't know what time yet.
No, I'm going to guess it's going to be around noon. And I will say this: there are times that both of us will not have an opinion on the games. This will not be one of those times, because we got two games that, if you're listening to this, you may want to tune in on Friday.
Yeah,
that's the tease.
The 49ers and the Steelers started to tick down a little bit, kind of shook the branches and had me put some Steeler teaser action and money line action in play. I'm not heavily invested in the game. We know San Francisco started off poorly last year. It looks like Bosa is probably not in, but certainly not fully healthy. Pittsburgh, great preseason. That doesn't mean anything. We know that, but Pittsburgh has no room for error. They cannot afford to even lose this game. They have to come away with this. You're going to get a maximum effort with a top coach. I like my teaser positions on Pittsburgh, and I like the situational of the situation. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, we're going to be in agreement on this particular one. And I like your comment about no room for error, because they don't get to play the soft divisions. Their own division is brutal. So you have to stack wins right away. And when you have a preparation advantage, you're looking at two guys that impact the entire defenses. When Bosa's out, it impacts other players on the defense, like Hutchinson in Detroit and like TJ Watt in Pittsburgh. The splits when TJ Watt doesn't play are horrendous. But when he plays, that defense is going to do some stuff to Brock Purdy that I don't think Purdy has seen in his venture as a rookie through the NFC schedule that he had to play. I think Pittsburgh defense comes to play. And I'll make another note again. Jimmy Ward, who didn't play the first 4 weeks last year for San Francisco, he was on the PUP list, I believe, and I commented about that. And that's why I thought San Francisco was not ready to play last year. Well, now he's not even on the team, because he was signed as a free agent somewhere else. So if Kenny Pickett can build upon the end of last year and his August of this year, there are going to be seams in the secondary that Pittsburgh can hit on. I do think Pittsburgh wins this game outright, and I think it would be... I think San Francisco would steal a win if they get this one. And if Pittsburgh does lose this one or doesn't look so good, that puts them behind the 8 ball. And that's not the reason necessary to play the game. I think, like you said, there are situational factors and player factors that are more important than do they need the game or do they not need the game. Everybody's 0-0 right now. But I just think Pittsburgh is a more complete team at this moment in time.
And you just reminded me that when we get done with this, we're going to go through each game quickly again and quickly assess which results could possibly, have a significant effect on what we see going forward for that team.
Great idea.
So we're in agreement there. Arizona and Washington.
Fun one, huh? Want me to go first on this one?
Yeah.
Chase Young apparently decides that he likes to be injured all the time. So I don't even know if he goes in this particular game. I really thought there's an enormous advantage with Washington's front seven versus whatever Arizona has in their offensive backfield. And for teaser players, that Washington would be somebody to look at, or parlay players. If you say just Washington, just win the game, couple them with somebody else, because pretty much I don't think Arizona's tanking. I just don't think they're a good team. Well, we know they're not a good team. I think they're a horrendous team that is really looking toward building with a lot of draft choices next year. And if Washington cannot get this done defensively, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, Arizona may have 2 top 5 picks next year.
That's correct.
I don't even want to talk about the game. I
Okay.
just the only thing that I'll say is that I saw 3.5s popping up, and for whatever reason,
3.5 in the Washington game.
on the Arizona season wins.
Oh, season
And
wins. Yeah. It opened 5.5, and some of us were very happy about that.
well, I hold a lot of under 5.5 right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out whether I want to buy, what I want to come back with and what I want to hold. And it was more of a market read position that I took. But I got a funny feeling that I don't know. I don't know. It's something just bothers me that somehow they could accidentally win 4 games.
Yeah, never know. You could have letdown spots and so on in the schedule.
And it's going to bother me if Washington has a great season, because I really wanted to look their way. And Chase Daniels, there was talk of him going to the Lions. There's something wrong with this guy. As you kind of alluded to, the guy doesn't like to play. There's some way, somehow he misses way too much time. And they were trying to, quietly move him on the offseason. That's a horrible sign for somebody that's been with the team and is as important as he is, but not that long. You know what I mean? There's something wrong.
Everybody's pain tolerance is different, but everybody's motivational tolerance to play the game. And it's hard to measure when you draft a guy. But when you're paying this kind of money to people that play half the season, it's got to be frustrating for a GM.
Green Bay, the Bears, Friday?
Friday. Tune in. It's going to be fun. It's going to be contentious.
Raiders and Broncos. I know every twice a year you tell me the same thing. Go ahead.
I tell you the same thing.
You always tell me the same thing. In this division with these two teams,
is that what?
Give me the field goal, and I don't need to think about anything else.
Yeah. It's going to be, I see a lot of, I think I know what Vegas is, but I don't know what Denver is. I've been trying, at one point I thought I did, and then I went the other way and the other way. I'm not sure what Denver is, so I like to hear other opinions on what is Denver this year.
Well, that was the team I was really silent about. Wasn't saying anything to anybody that I was like really excited. And I did bet an alt win over. And I was looking at them again this morning and going up and down that schedule and what I've absorbed. And I'm like, wait a minute. I can't support this team like I was. I don't think they may not be that sleeper that I thought that they were, and that they were going to get their act together. There's just something off kilter with this transition. So I'm like you are. I want to sit back and watch at this point. I don't think, as far as the game goes, I definitely I put in a small wager on the Raiders at 4.5. And I think there's value in that.
I can't read Peyton's body language. It's been all over the place this spring and summer. I mean, he's criticizing the New York Jet offensive coordinator who was the head coach. I mean, he doesn't have to say that. He could think it. He doesn't have to say that. He's got war words going with Russell Wilson. I can't really read what he's doing right now, but the schedule is set up for success. And then when I go through it and I do my ratings and stuff like that, I still end up with 8 or 9 wins, right about what their projections are. So I think I have to wait. I really have to see what this is all about.
Well, and one of the reasons why I took a small thing on the Raiders is, they get the running, they get their running back, their tight end, and Judy's out. I just thought it's a good spot. I mean, the particular spot was good. The Dolphins Chargers.
I'm going to revisit it. I'll revisit it. I'm going to revisit Vegas to see if to agree with you on that one.
Miami Chargers. I can't see a way I'm getting involved in that game.
Normally this would be the kind of game where you take the dog, and obviously Tua is healthy, so that's good to start. It should be a fun game. I like both quarterbacks. I like one coach. Miami's better than the other, but Miami has one running back right now. They're really injury. They got some problems with the depth at running back right now. Not that the Chargers are great at running back, but Eckler's healthy right now. They can give him all the carries he wants right now. He's not going to be fatigued week 1.
My radar just goes off and says, why is this line only 3? I just feel that it should be higher than 3. It should be a 3.5. And the fact that the market's allowing it to sit at 3, it doesn't pass my sniff test. It's my sniff test. They're inviting Chargers action. I just have no need to get involved in the game. I just don't care. I think it'd be a great game to watch, and there's going to be some stuff to learn from it. But as far, it's a betting dud. I'll just put it that way.
You took the words out of my mouth, because when you said it's a great game to watch, I was going to say this may be my favorite game to watch, because I think it'd just be exciting from a strategy standpoint with the second-year coach, and to see if Staley learned anything from his first few years on the Charger side. From a speed standpoint, when you get those slant passes to Tyreek Hill and so on, I think it's a really fascinating matchup to watch. Now, in terms of futures, and this is what I would say to everybody, if you have a future on Miami, you are rolling the dice. And I say that whether it's an over or whether it's an under, because you don't know if Tua is going to play 17 games. If he does, I think they're in the playoffs. Or if he's going to play 9 games and retire. And if he does that, they're coming in last place. To me, it's the ultimate gambling to get involved in a Miami future. I'm going to take it week by week.
I think we were in agreement with the Eagles-Patriots game for once. Usually we disagree. Didn't you take some Patriots?
I did take Patriots. I took them pretty early. I've seen this play out before, not only from Philly's side situationally, but if you look at New England comes prepared week 1. Belichick has a lot of time to get the team ready. He thinks he's fixed that 1-year blimp out of special teams, which would give them an advantage because Philly's special teams are a little bit below average. He's willing to run the ball more than he should probably. But in this game, you want to run the ball because for whatever reason, teams don't want to run on Philly. And when Washington did that, I think it was a Monday night. I don't know.
Yeah.
When Washington did that for 200 and whatever yards, it exposed Philly, but then nobody else tried it. I think New England's willing to try it, and I see a coin flip game.
I agree 100%. The situation just screams to take the Patriots, and at 3.5, it's not as attractive. But if that had been the number, I still would have taken the plus 3.5. Would you have taken the plus 3.5 also?
I probably would have stopped at 4.
Okay,
but we had 5.5 to work with a long time ago. Not that long ago, really.
Oh, God.
You're going to love this one, I know, because
you go ahead and start on the Rams Seahawks.
Let me make one statement before you start, and that's if this was a week 8 game and that line was 6 when you were talking about it, there's no question I would have had the Rams. Not even a question, because the line, my power ratings do not support anything over 4 points. It's really 3.5 is what my power ratings support. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. But because this is a week 1 game, and because the Rams just don't know how to prepare in the preseason, and now we may lose Cooper Kupp in the lineup and stuff like that, I just don't think the Rams are ready to play.
I couldn't bet hard and fast enough when the 6 was there, and was pretty darn confident. And I actually believed that they were going to actually win the game. I thought this was just a prime spot. The history of this series just dictated that the Rams, this was going to be a really nice spot for the Rams to show up healthy. They don't have the depth, but they would have the starters ready to go, and they can't even get through preseason resting these players without them getting injured. And then you've got the Stafford not communicating with the kids. You have to be concerned if the wheels come off that bus real fast. But I haven't given up. If Kupp doesn't play, I think the Rams could still cover that some way, somehow. I think that there's enough drive, determination, and talent there. And with the right game plans, Seattle's got problems. They've got two people out in the secondary, right? And a couple of other issues. They're not a whole team. And you're talking about a quarterback that just got paid. So there's a lot of reasons to not give up on the Rams, even with I expect Kupp to be out now, I guess. So I just don't. I just look at it as a normal play instead of something I could be really enthusiastic about.
I think what the Rams have to do is get off the field defensively. Got a lot of no names on that defense, and if they allow Seattle to just run it, jam it down their throats, then Geno Smith gets a play action passes. If that doesn't happen, then Aaron Donald can impact Geno Smith, who won't be as good as his first 7 or 8 games last year, but probably won't be as bad as his last 6 or 7 games, somewhere in the middle. But the Rams defense, I think that's the biggest key. They have to find a way to get off the field.
Cowboys, Giants, the same category for years. Just give me the field goal plus and call it a day. Do you feel that way this time?
My problem is Dallas plays so well against the Giants, and the Giants were a little bit of pretenders last year, and the Giants' home record against Dallas isn't that good. I think there's a coaching edge for the Giants. I really want to play the Giants, but I'd be doing it without facts. I have reasons for other games. I don't have reasons. This is kind of like, I'm going to throw some money on it if it gets to 4, because I know 4 can be in play for this game, and I don't want to lose by a half a point, even at the 3.5. Dallas's offense, I mean, adding Brandon Cooks, who do you actually guard in this game? Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, who's now healthy. He wasn't healthy last year. They got a couple of tight ends. I told you, and I told others, that I don't think Pollard can get through a whole season at running back. But like your point with the Rams and Stafford and everybody else, everybody's healthy week 1. We're not worried about whether they get through the season. We're just worried about what should we play week 1. And week 1, Pollard is probably helpful for the Dallas team. So if you believe the Giants can cover, and I want to believe it with my heart, then they're going to have to control offensively. They're going to have to keep Dallas's defense on the field, because the more Dallas's offense is on the field, I think the Giants will eventually break.
That leaves us with Monday night, Buffalo and the Jets.
Yeah, are you surprised at where the line is? I thought there'd be a lot of.
I was in the hospital last week, and I'm trying to get a bets in on these games because I fully expected the line to be like entirely different than what it is today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really think maybe it still will. I really thought that there'd be Jets money pouring in and that Buffalo would end up a 1-point favorite.
Well, my feelings exactly. I cannot believe how it's teetering. Oh, geez, I got to scroll through all this.
I think it's a 50-50 toss-up game, and I would lean the Jets' way. No play from me, but I would lean the Jets' play.
Well, and we've got, a couple of the sharper shops leaning strong 2.5. So it just surprises me. It really, really surprises me. Is Von Miller playing?
No, he's gone for at least 4 weeks.
Yeah. That team is a lot different without him in the lineup.
Yeah, their sack ratio was incredibly different without him. In fact, a real surprise to me.
Yeah. So let's weave our way back quickly.
Okay.
And go game by game quickly and decide it doesn't matter what the results are, or the results matter as far as what your perception of the team is going to be. So nothing is going to matter on this game, more than likely, no matter what happens, barring some asinine blowout.
Which game? Detroit KC to start?
No, we're weaving our way back from the Monday night.
Backwards. Oh, Buffalo, the Jets. I mean, it's a Monday night game. It's an electric atmosphere and stuff like that. I'm not going to be changing much of anything.
Cowboys Giants. If I'm not going to make a judgment on either team more than likely, unless the Giants come away with like a 10-point victory, and Dallas is fighting from behind the whole time. That's going to set off a little bit of a radar for me. But the Giants could lose and not look that good. I mean, as long as they're not humiliated, they could win small. That's not going to change my perception on Dallas. What about you?
Exactly the same. If I would have started, I would have said the Giants. If they win by 7 or more, I would probably upgrade the Giants.
Yeah. Well, then you go first here.
Eagles,
Rams, Seahawks.
We can trade off. Because my power ratings are what they are, if the Rams do win or get close or whatever, even if not, I mean, I'm comfortable with my power ratings, which have these teams closer than the line is. So I don't think I would change much of anything because I already have them close together, even if the Rams win. It's just the fact that they're playing week 1 that bothers me because I think they are closer together in talent before injuries hit.
I would, if the Rams have a meltdown, there's going to be an immediate adjustment needed. I mean, if the reality is that the talking heads are proclaiming this defense to be, comical, and it is comical, well, then you got to make an immediate reevaluation, right?
Yeah. I mean, if it's really bad, maybe so. I don't think I'll do. I doubt if I'll change Seattle no matter what. Philly, New England.
If the Patriots get blown out, that's going to be that's going to be a consideration. That's the only thing that can happen in that game that would really be a cause of concern and make me lose, a lot of faith in them.
Yeah, boy, we are in perfect alignment here. If I would definitely adjust New England if this doesn't look good for New England because the situation favors them greatly. I probably won't change Philly no matter what,
right,
because of the intensity of the situation. But New England is, I mean, if they don't look good right now, when are they going to look good?
Exactly. Dolphins Chargers, there's your game.
Okay, well, I'll start by saying I doubt if I'd make any changes unless Miami looks really bad or if Tua goes down or something like that. I don't think I would change either team. I expect a fun game, and whatever happens, happens.
I'm kind of with you there. I think it's going to be hard for me to change my opinion very much on Raiders Broncos unless Wilson just looks like we know he's going to be unable to look, so it's not even worth discussing.
Yeah, with Denver, I'm just going to keep an open mind all the way. I don't know which way to adjust this team, so I'm going to let them adjust themselves.
Packers Bears, we're going to talk about Friday.
We're going to talk about Friday. I mean, I will say that if Chicago loses this game, they're in big trouble.
Yeah, that's the obvious. It's all about the Bears. It doesn't matter what happens to the Packers.
Right.
Arizona, Washington. If Washington loses outright, then they're making a beeline for the number 1.
Yeah, if Washington loses outright, it means that anybody who jumped on the Sam Howell bandwagon after one game in the NFL and he showed a little sack prone in college, that it's a downgrade of Washington. It has to be if that happens. And I don't know if you upgrade Arizona, you wait for them to play a more complete team or something like that. But you're right. Washington is the look in this game. I don't think they can go up if they beat, Arizona by 10 or 12, but they can go down.
San Fran, Pittsburgh.
Probably no adjustment on my part, no matter what happens.
I agree. Titans, Saints. I will start with, if the Saints lose outright, that's going to perk my ears up. They should get this game. They're supposed to get this game. Doesn't mean I'm betting them. But this is the type of game they need to win. And I could see a way where the Titans could technically lose by 10 and they not look good, but you still got to wane on them.
Yeah. Of course, we're going to talk about this game on Friday as well.
Oh, forgot.
Yeah, but all I'll say is, I'm curious about New Orleans, because if they have a problem in this game, then I think coaching matters. And I'm not a fan of Dennis Allen. As a defensive coordinator, he's good. But as a head coach, he's left a lot to be desired, including last year and including his stint with the Raiders.
Tampa Vikings. That's interesting.
Yeah, so if Baker Mayfield there, like I said, I think he has this low ceiling and probably not much, and his floor is higher than anybody else's there. I probably wouldn't touch Tampa no matter what. I guess if they've got blown out 35-0, I would take a big look. It's going to take a skewed score on either side. Somebody wins by 25 or Minnesota loses by double digits. Otherwise, I'm going to let it ride for at least a week.
Jacksonville Colts. If the Colts were to win this outright, I'm still not going to be a believer just because of the series history and the situation here. So, and if the Jags have a big win, I'm not going to downgrade the Colts either necessarily. So that's going to be a wait and see result no matter what for me.
I agree. This falls into the category of we see 2 or 3 games every year, week 1, where you say, how did that happen? Because at the end of the year, the team wins only 2 more games or something.
Right.
So there cannot be an overreaction on either side.
Bengals Browns.
I don't think I'd change a thing unless Cleveland's defense is really bad and I expect it to be better. If Cleveland's defense is really bad, I might take a closer look at downgrading them. Otherwise, I probably leave this game alone, divisional game.
You're extending the leash on Watson. You don't have to see a certain degree of efficiency and competence, at least somewhat resembling the old Watson, or you've got him on a longer leash.
Longer leash because it's Cincinnati and an experienced defensive coordinator. I'll give them more than a week, but I won't give the defense that long if they really falter against a Cincy team that pretty much phoned in the preseason. And Cleveland's supposed to be better and deeper defensively. So I don't expect to make changes in this after this game, but we'll see.
I'm pretty much in that same boat. The only thing that would make me really question life is if the Ravens lose outright. What about you?
Yeah. I don't want to upgrade Houston because I don't think CJ Stroud is going to be ready this year. On the other hand, we've talked about addition by subtraction. Urban Meyer's out of the building. Jacksonville's a different team. Lovie Smith is out of the building. What if Houston does win outright? Then I have to look twice and say, Houston's going to be better than I thought, even with a rookie quarterback, because they have better coaching right now. That's the only thing I would look at there. But I would be concerned if Baltimore lost the game outright.
Yeah, that's just a disaster. But I believe that Houston has enough that would, as you mentioned, if the locker room spirit is different and there's optimism and these players just they're sick of losing and the newer players just want to, join in, so to speak, and this team actually is trying to win, it's not going to surprise me to see Houston to be, as you mentioned, one of those pesky teams like Tampa Bay will be.
Right. Carolina, Atlanta. I think I would slightly upgrade Atlanta if they looked really good in this game.
Yeah, maybe.
That's all I have.
Definitely more wait and see and absorb. There's nothing that Kansas City could possibly do. They could lose the game by 42. or win the game by 42. And it's not going to change my perspective on that team. And as far as the Lions go, I, you know what? If they just really looked good and won outright, and they weren't winning, and it was clear that they were winning because they're good, not because Kelsey's out and Jones is out, and there's just something about the win that isn't fluky, and that there's a confidence on the players' faces and a strut to the team. Then I'm going to feel a lot better about the Lions. But if they kind of if the moment's too big for them and they don't come out of the gate well, I've got forgiveness on it for this game.
This is one game I don't think I would change a thing no matter what happens with either team. I already have the Lions tied ninth in power rating right now to start the season. When's the last time ever that the Lions were tied ninth to start a season with a power rating?
Well, if we're not talking about the draft, yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a long time. And I think we talked about this before, about the culture. And I've seen a couple of other stories about that exact same issue, about how this culture is different. It really is. It's different this time. Detroit media commenting that they've been around, they've seen the optimism in the past, and this one's different.
I'll probably post on Twitter the season preview for Detroit and Kansas City sometime on Thursday.
Okay.
And so it might be an interesting walkthrough in terms of what I think. But, expectations are high in Cleveland and Detroit. And the question is, can they meet it? But this game, they're playing the Super Bowl champs. So even if they lost by 20, it wouldn't mean anything to me. And if Kansas City faltered, it wouldn't mean anything either, because I don't think their defense is ready right now.
I agree. What anything else on your mind, NFL?
I think it's going to be an exciting year. I think I'm starting to lose a little interest in college. I talked about all the commercials, the 130 plays in the Florida State game, 131 commercials and stuff like that. I think the NFL does a better job of going in and out of play action and stuff like that. You got a lot of storylines this year: quarterbacks, coaches, coordinators, and everything. I think the one thing we can't say enough is don't overreact to what you see week one. Take it in, and I've seen overreactions all over the place. College week one, maybe it's different in college, but in the NFL, have a level head. We've done all this prep work. We're going to change. We're going to throw out our priors week 4. We don't have to throw them out week 1.
I know that I've never been more excited about an NFL season than this NFL season. And in the years past, when I would be excited about an NFL season, that would still mean that there was probably 8 to 10 teams I could really give a rat's ass about. But when you spent so much work going through each of these teams, and you can feel the frustrations, the hopes, the optimism, just all these emotions, tied to each team and their own narratives and their own storylines. It has me interested in just about every team this year. And usually there are literally 5 teams I'm only going to interact with when the model forces me to interact with. I don't give a crap. I'm going to trust the model. But I honestly care about learning more about each and every team at this point in time.
Yeah, for me, I like to see whether my opinions, whether my game-to-game notes are coming through, yes or no. And there's always going to be a handful of teams. You're not human if you don't have 6, 7, 8, 10 teams where you don't really know what's going to happen. And even if you handicap the games, and even if you think you know what you're doing when you're making the bets and stuff, it's okay not to know about a team. and just let it play out. What's Denver really going to look like? What's Cleveland going to really look like? Because they've been all over the place the last 3 or 4 years. I haven't formed an opinion about those teams, and I'll be like you. When the metrics say that's the team I should play on, then I'll play on them. But other than that, I just keep an open mind.
I think one of the things that I've learned from you over the years is, and I always know it, but that is transitioned into the actual way that I'm doing things is exactly what you just said. We don't have to know. We don't have to formulate an opinion. We should actually welcome a blank mind, a blank slate for a team. I mean, that's much better than to actually have an opinion one way or another. Frankly, if we could have a blank slate on every team, that would be great.
Yeah. What's interesting is that when you form an opinion, like there's opinions that you form that say, I really feel strongly about this. And there are opinions that I have to look back at myself. I'll just use myself as an example and say, is this a biased opinion? Am I reading into this too much, or do I have facts to back it up? And sometimes there's some bias that comes in. So that's your point. It's better if you think there's some bias in to get it out of your mind and go in with an open slate.
Agreed. I don't have anything else to say. We're going to have the abbreviated show on Friday, somewhere around noon Pacific, talking 2 games. We're planning on doing these shows on Tuesdays, somewhere maybe a little bit earlier, I think. But we'll try to settle in on a time. But we're not trying to create a show. We're trying to create work. A half work product and just half information and fact gathering and digestion. So, we don't have to schedule anything at a specific time. So,
like last year, we came up with some topics and we said, wow, let's look at season wins after week 4. Let's look at the quartile. Let's look at this and that. We come up with some stuff that we think is valuable. And the only positive to setting up a set time, or at least so notifying people in advance, is because we also like questions, obviously.
Yeah.
And we can answer things that maybe there's a question out there that say, wow, I didn't think of that. That's really good. That brings us into another thing that we want to discuss. So we'll try to do that. But I definitely encourage people to tune in on the Friday show, because those 2 games are quite interesting that we're going to be talking about. Again, that's Tennessee, New Orleans, and Green Bay, Chicago.
I agree. We actually never asked last year. I think maybe like 3 times. Please subscribe. You'll get, we might have impromptu video content that gets released, so you'll want to be alerted to it. Always welcome to fill in the comments. I try to keep up with them when we can. And just looking forward to getting past this Thursday night game.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Just got to finish the write-ups, and then you and I and Ted will join us, and we'll talk some more on Friday.
That sounds good. I appreciate everybody joining. Hope there was something of value, and I will be talking to you tomorrow again anyway, right, Ron?
Yeah. Yeah, can't get enough of Chris, because he's ready to go. You took the spring off, or we took the spring off. We have so much going on, but it's football season now.
All right. We'll catch everybody later.